But, man, big implications out here for the ACC. I only mentioned one SEC team, and there's no Big Ten games that really have any indication. No offense to Iowa when they play Ohio State. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football, back at it again. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date on all things EA college football and watch plenty of college football content, subscribe to this channel right now. I also do plenty of pro and Madden videos as well. Like I said, please subscribe, hit the like button, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It's free to you, helps out the channel a lot. Do all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Basically, if you like football, subscribe and do all that stuff. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, we had ourselves a crazy weekend with 4 top 10 teams losing. It was absolutely nuts. The CFP was thrown into a complete flux. However, this next week is going to be pretty big too. The crazy thing too is that a lot of the action this next week, it's not necessarily in the SEC or the Big Ten. I only have one matchup I really want to highlight there because a couple teams are on byes. There's a couple teams that don't exactly have difficult games, but this last weekend, pretty big for the CFP. I want to talk about what's happening for the CFP in this next week in the games. Let's check these games out. So we look here at the college football rankings. Boom, Georgia is number 1, and they are in a bye. Michigan is number 4. They're on a bye. Tennessee just went up 3 spots. They are number 3 team in the country. That's what I'm telling you right now. These two teams, same division. Georgia, Tennessee is going to be a crazy one in a couple weeks here. But then you look at the other games here. So we got Iowa versus Ohio State up there at the top. I think my face might be covering that up. And then we see over here we've got Tennessee. Martin plays Tennessee. We've got, what else we got there? We've got Wake Forest plays Boston College. However, there's a couple games that I want to highlight here because I think that they're going to have a pretty big impact on the CFP. So this first game here is not necessarily a big impact on the CFP, but I do think it's going to have a big impact on a New Year's 6 game invite because it involves the Memphis Tigers and the Tulane Green Wave. Now, I do understand that Cincinnati currently is the highest rated group of 5 team right now. They're not a group of 5 team next year, but beyond that, we also have the Tulane Green Wave. Now, before this, James Madison was ranked. They were undefeated. They ultimately lost to Coastal Carolina, so they're not ranked anymore. So we look at Tulane Green Wave. Excuse me, they didn't lose to Coastal Carolina. They lost to Georgia Southern. I apologize. Sorry about that. The Tulane Green Wave, they are playing the Memphis Tigers, and they kind of came out of nowhere. They have a mysterious win against, Kansas State earlier in the year. They're like, Kansas State just beat the hell out of Oklahoma. So there's a couple questions we had there about that to see where these teams have ended up. But we ultimately see right now that the Tulane Green Wave, 6-1, 3-0 in conference. I don't think that Memphis has a chance necessarily at going to a New Year's 6 game. If they win out, you never know. But I do think that this game, if it's a loss for Tulane, could ultimately really hurt their opportunity to get to a New Year's 6 game. And speaking of Kansas State, now again, Kansas State lost a couple weeks ago, but to Tulane, they didn't lose in the Big 12, but they are playing the TCU Horned Frogs, who just came over a big victory over Oklahoma State at home. They have another game at home, Kansas State at Fort Worth, Texas, where this game is going to be. So this is a pretty big one out here. So I'm interested to watch Deuce Vaughn, Adrian Martinez. Adrian Martinez has to be like, yeah, dude, I told you it wasn't my fault at Nebraska. But ultimately now he's coming over here to play TCU. Max Duggan, Quentin Johnston. There's a lot of good players for TCU. They got a lot of explosive things going on with them right now. But we'll see what happens there. This is going to be a big game, especially if this is a game you want to have a tiebreaker in. But man, I'm telling you, this has CFP implications because if Kansas State loses another, they are probably out of the CFP. But if TCU loses, they're going to have a big time loss there, and especially a tiebreaker going down the line. And then we come over here also to the Big 12 in the Oklahoma State and Texas. Now think about this, man. So think about Kansas State, TCU, and Oklahoma State. All these teams are part of the Big 12. Even after Texas and Oklahoma leave, they are all involved in the CFP playoff predictions, situation. So I think the Big 12 is going to be just fine. I think a lot of people worried about them dying potentially 18 months ago. Now they're like, the league's pretty healthy. Looking at that too, we see Texas here. Quinn Ewers, they are a different team with Quinn Ewers there. This is going to be with Quinn Ewers in the game. And again, right now the ESPN FPI has them as a 2/3, 66%, favorite in this game. And the Oklahoma State, I'm telling you, at Oklahoma State is no easy place to go play. It's a great stadium, so we'll see how that turns out. But man, I'm telling you, Spencer Sanders, Bijan Robinson, we've got, not Hudson Card, he's the quarterback right here because he's the leader, but it's ultimately Quinn Ewers is going to be the quarterback. There's a lot of talent on this game and on this field, and we'll see what happens here if Oklahoma State can overcome the loss they just had last week. But man, I'm telling you right now, Texas, if they have hopes of making it to the CFP, if they win out, they have a chance. Oklahoma State has to do pretty well too, but big implications here in the Big 12. Not only the Big 12, but the pesky Pac-12 as well. The UCLA Bruins are playing the Oregon Ducks, a team that is going to the Big Ten, versus the team that really wants an invite to the Big Ten. Oregon is got themselves back to a number 10 ranking after that Week 1 horrific loss to Georgia at a neutral site in the Georgia Dome. And then UCLA is 6-0 with the loss of USC at Utah. They are currently the hottest ticket right now in LA. I know, no offense to the Rams, the Chargers. Chargers won against the Broncos, although I don't know how much that's saying at this point this last night. But I'm telling you, UCLA, they're looking pretty good. DTR is playing really well. Zach Charbonnet. There's a lot going on with UCLA. We'll see if they can handle the pressure because Autzen is going to be rocking for this game. And then this one right here. So LSU, I do like Brian Kelly and what he's doing. I think he's going to have a really easy job recruiting down the road to LSU. There's so much natural talent around them. But Ole Miss right now, 7-0. They only have 5 games left. Now, however, they do have to go to Death Valley. It's going to be a difficult game. You can see here the fact that the ESPN FBI has LSU favored just a little bit over Mississippi. But I'm telling you right now, I am looking forward to this game. This game's going to be awesome. It's a little bit earlier in the day, so it'll be an interesting one to watch. But Ole Miss right now, I don't think LSU has a chance per se. But Ole Miss, they've only got a couple games left, man. This is a big one and a tough task on the road at Death Valley. And then last but not least, I'm wishful thinking here because I think that Clemson is a really, really good team, but I'm not sure how much I'm sold on DJ Ukulele, in my personal opinion. But Dino Babers, man, he is in a situation here where he was on the hot seat entering the season. If he comes out here and he beats Clemson at Clemson, Syracuse, this is going to go from 14 to, 6 or 5 or something like that because they are going to shoot straight up the board. Now, ultimately, I do think the fact that Clemson is favored 83-17 looks like it's a big time favorite. I think the line on this one from what I saw was 13.5 points. So Clemson, a big one here, but you never know. The Syracuse has been able to surprise Clemson in the Carrier Dome. That's not the Carrier Dome, it's got a different name. But we'll see if Syracuse can come out here and play Clemson and play them tough in their Death Valley. But man, big implications out here for the ACC. I only mentioned one SEC team. And there's no Big Ten games that really have any indication. No offense to Iowa when they play Ohio State. Man, I just wanted to check in on those real quick because, again, we saw a couple teams in this day. Let me see if I can do it real quick. Okay, Penn State. We have USC. We have Alabama. We have one more. I totally forgot who the other ones. But, Master Football doesn't have all the knowledge in his brain. I can't do it all off the top of my head. But, man, there was 4 teams that lost in the top 10. There's not as many top 10 matchups per se between 2 top 10 teams. But I do think there's a lot of CFP implications in this next week. First of all, I want you guys to get in the comments right now. Let me know what you guys think is the biggest implication game in the CFP for these next games this week. And again, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. See you guys later. I am out.